A blow to the Biden family. Schools get skimpy, and we're not talking about mini skirts and tube tops. And are you part of the airport club? All these stories and more coming up on the Rundown.
All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
Camera one.
Talent.
Ready, camera two.
Record.
3, 2, 1.
Record.
Thanks so much for joining us. This is the Rundown, where we take a look at some of the big stories making headlines. I'm your host, John Phillips. Joining me here in Los Angeles is stand-up comic extraordinaire Mr. Steven Cruiser. And Michelle Fields is out today. I'm told she has Ebola. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top of the Rundown. And we begin with Mr. Cruiser.
At the top of my rundown, Crazy Joe the Wonder Veep, Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been discharged from the Navy Reserve. Why? Well, he tested positive for cocaine. The 44-year-old is a lawyer and managing partner at an investment firm. In a statement, he says it was the honor of his life to serve in the Navy, and he deeply regrets that his actions led to being discharged. The Navy says they never contacted the vice president about the issue. Now, as someone who's been in the entertainment industry his whole life, I've always thought people who are still in their 40s and doing cocaine were a little bit seedy, and I'm surprised they were alive. But here's the thing about this. This will be dead to the media. It's already dead to the media a few days later, but they're still writing about the fight that Sarah Palin's family got into at a party in Alaska 5 weeks ago. And this will get, the only reason I'm even bringing this thing up is because there will be no coverage whatsoever, and this is a much bigger deal. This is, as his father would like to say, this is a big effing deal here.
Let me play the devil's advocate here for a second. When you're the vice president, you're the vice president's family, one of the things that you do is you have to travel on the campaign. You have to go to all the cities. You have to go to the convention. You have to hang out with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You have to go on all the MSNBC programs. Yes. You have to travel with the president, the first lady, the first family. You've got to go to Democratic Party fundraisers nonstop. So let me ask you this question, and I want you to answer it honestly for me. If you had to hang out with that crowd, wouldn't you be on drugs too?
I'd be on, yeah, but I'd be on codeine or something that took the edge off. I wouldn't want to be more aware of them. No, yeah. So that was a good devil's advocate question here. I don't know. Well, lawyers, okay, lawyers, and he had to have known there would be a drug test at some point. This is what this to me smacks of. He probably thought he'd get away with it because he was the vice president's son, too. I mean, it's not like a big secret that if you're in the Navy, the Reserves, the Guard, they drug test you. So I think he was thinking he could get away with it.
And doesn't the vice president live at the Naval Observatory?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, that'll be a nice little reminder every time he goes over for
grow
Thanksgiving. All right, time to move on to the top of my rundown, where controversial portly filmmaker Michael Moore's at it again. This time, the rotund fellow is linking Ebola to Republicans, Wall Street, and the National Rifle Association. Fatty did so with a series of tweets. The first one says, let's break it down. Texas health resources? Resources? None. Health? Ha! Texas! Well, that pretty much explains the lack of the first two. He also tweeted, infectious diseases budgets, facilities, prep cut after Wall Street thievery killed economy. Now it helps kill lives. Still, not one banker jailed, end quote. Moore also took jabs at Texas Governor Rick Perry. He also tweeted out that the U.S. does not currently have a permanent Surgeon General and blamed the NRA and Republicans in Congress for that. So what is this big fat target doing here? I mean, he's just trying to link everything. I'll tell you what happened here. I firmly believe this. When Democrats just took it as a given that they can blame Republicans for the weather,
yeah.
There is literally nothing they can't blame Republicans for. If you can blame Republicans for rain or hurricanes or tornadoes, you can certainly blame them for Ebola.
After the Bush-Cheney weather machine, it's on. Yeah, everything, because George Bush and, they could do racially targeted hurricanes. So they can blame the Republicans for everything now. I'm surprised he didn't say infrastructure and spend more on education, because they really are trying to tie this to every go-to issue of theirs right now. If we just spent more on education, people wouldn't get Ebola. If we just spent more on infrastructure, it's because most of their pet issues are such BS, it's easy for them to fling them around like this. I mean, we know that spending more on education doesn't really help education, but I still think the president, if you wake him up in the middle of the night, the first thing he says is spend more on education. Like that's what he does. So yeah, and Moore is a ridiculous man. His jihad against Wall Street is still cute to see right now. I love it when rich guys, I want to know how many of these investment firms he's invested money with. I want to know if he's really shunning Wall Street the way he pretends to.
Well, and we found out everything that he owns when he got divorced with his wife, where they were fighting over all the various homes that they have and the money and
he's filthy rich, and he's spending most of it on food.
I can't believe you'd make a fat joke at him. That was really below the belt.
He makes me feel svelte.
All right. Now it's time to go under the radar. This, of course, is where we take a look at some of the stories that should have made bigger headlines but didn't. And Cruiser, you're up first.
Under the radar, First Lady Michelle Obama's school lunch regulations have resulted in a nightmare for students. In Oklahoma, a high school student took a picture of her skimpy lunch and showed it to her parents. The lunch consists of a couple of slices of lunch meat, 2 packages of crackers, a slice of cheese, 2 pieces of cauliflower, and dip. The school's superintendent agrees that it's not enough to feed a student. It's not enough to feed a hamster. The lunch does comply with new rules set in place by the First Lady and the USDA, as there is meat, bread grain, and a vegetable.
It's so gross. How is that healthy? Look at that. It's processed meat, processed cheese, crackers.
Processed, not good carbs, and the cauliflower is not even that great a vegetable for you. The only real vegetable here is the First Lady's brain. She just needs to get away from. She's an idiot. Okay, I know we're supposed to pretend she's smart. I know we're supposed to pretend she's fashionable. She's a fashion train wreck, and she's an idiot, and she's starving our students. And there's now some evidence that it could make them dumber the way she wants to feed them, which makes sense to me, because then it makes them perfect progressive voters.
It's not very often that you take a look at a meal and you say, you know what, I think I'd rather have airline food from one of those boxes instead of that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the woman who was able to make school lunches worse. Like 50 years, nobody could actually make them worse. They obviously thought they were the gold standard of low already. She was the one who managed to make them worse because vegetable.
Side note, have you ever noticed that every single school cafeteria smells the same?
And it's the same 3 women working there.
Yeah, it's like an aroma of burnt meat and oppression.
Yeah, it's just burnt meat, oppression, and hidden shame.
All right, it's time for me to go under the radar. Are you part of the airport club? 10% of Britons are. 1 in 10 have had a sexual encounter in an airport. A company called Jet Cost released their findings. The most popular place to join the club was doing the deed in a bathroom stall. Hello, Larry Craig. Mr. Foot tapping, finger wiggling, pre-Stonewall, Morse code. The second most popular place, of course, was storage areas. That's where it's nice and dark and no one's there to see. 4% of those polled said they had sex on an aircraft, and 31% of them said they were caught in the act. So why join the airport club? 1/3 of those asked said it was because they were in the holiday spirit. Happy birthday, baby Jesus. 27% said that they liked the thrill of not knowing if they would get caught. So who knew? It's not just Ebola you can catch on an airplane, but this can be cured by penicillin.
If you're having sex in an airport bathroom, you're not really having sex in an airport. You're just having sex in a public restroom. It's not as exotic as you think it is, okay? It's the same as if you're having sex at the Texaco toilet, okay? They think they're not mile high clubbing it there. They're in a stinky, nasty public restroom, and they're not exotic. And I don't believe anybody who says they have sex on a plane anymore, because between the seats and the nobody's having sex. They might be having thought sex on a plane, or phone sex, or texting each other, but nobody's having sex on a plane.
It's so gross on every possible level.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, whether it's Larry Craig or the people in the survey, cannot understand the eroticism appeal of a toilet bowl that's cleaned every 3rd week.
I don't even like to go to the bathroom in a public restroom. I don't like to use it for what it's for. It's not going to be my little love nest.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show, and not a minute too soon, I'd say. What do you think about those skimpy school lunches? Be sure to leave your comments in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips for Stephen Cruiser joining me here in Los Angeles. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.